Just started. Let me know if it's working. Just started.
Yeah, you're good.
Let me know if it's working.
You're good.
Let me see. Does it look okay?
Yeah.
Let me see.
Yeah, you're good.
Oh, it's brighter on your end. So that's good.
Well, my brightness is way up.
Let me see. Does it look okay?
Yeah.
Let me see. Oh, it does lag though. Oh, it's brighter. I think there's a little lag, like with my head when I'm moving
That's why
around.
I'm always like waiting. You're like, is it good? You gotta wait a second.
What's up, guys? Started early, so. Let me get this link out there. Thank you, Jewel. If everybody could please like and retweet the stream. Just because I started 10 minutes early, so. Alright. Sent that out in Discord. Thank you, thank you. Thank you, Manny. Thank you, Grant. Hope everybody had a great weekend. Thank you, Manny. Thank you, Grant. Hope everybody had a great weekend. Yeah, there's a little lag like when I move. Gotta figure that out. Haven't messed with the settings too much. Alright, what's on the economic calendar for the week? I feel like I should probably do this as part of every Sunday stream. Let's see. Michelle Bowman speaks at 8:50 a.m. Bowman is speaking. So it's a Federal Reserve member. We got Chicago PMI at 9:45, and Jerome Powell speaks tomorrow. I'm glad I freaking checked that. So Jerome Powell is speaking at 1:55. Hopefully I'll be done trading by that time. So looks like Tuesday is a little bit bigger data. Got S&P final U.S. manufacturing PMI at 9:45, and then at 10 a.m. you got ISM manufacturing data, construction spending data, and job openings data. And then at 11, Fed member Lisa Cook is speaking. And then Wednesday, nothing too much. Michelle Bowman speaks again at 11. And then Thursday, initial jobless claims at 8:30. That'll be a biggie. And Friday will also be a biggie. Got U.S. non-farm payroll. I'm sure that's Paper's favorite day. Will be Friday. U.S. unemployment rates. And that's about it. Hourly wages year over year. So looks like Thursday and Friday. But yeah, Powell speaks tomorrow. Interesting. Alright, gonna go ahead and get started a few minutes early. Again, if everybody could please just like and retweet the stream. Alright, so the same three per usual. SPY, QQQ, and IWM. The other three that I am mainly watching is Amazon, Apple, and Microsoft. So Amazon, Apple, Microsoft, those are the other three that I'm going to be watching. So for SPY, there's nothing too interesting, honestly, for SPY for me. There is a squeeze on the 4 hour. It's currently trying to move to the downside. So SPY is in a squeeze on the 4 hour, currently trying to move to the downside. And it looks like a trend line break here as well. So you had this big support down here, trend line tap, trend line, trend line, trend line, trend line break and close under. So looking at this chart here, in my opinion, SPY underneath that 570 psych level. So I got 569.9, 570.2. Just this zone right here, it's going to be 570 psych level. SPY loses that, 569.40. And then big target downside would be this bottom zone here around 568. So that 570 psych level is going to be key. It did break and hold underneath the trend line here, so in order for it to go higher, it would have to kind of reclaim back above that trend line, which is going to line up around 572. So SPY closed at 570.67, so downside trigger area 569.9, 570. Upside trigger is 571.9 to 572. So 572 and 570, those are the two areas that I would watch on SPY. Let me screenshot this chart, that way I can send this in the Discord. Go over to QQQ. See if it lets me pull up the chat this time, now that I got decent internet. Watching SQ this week, a daily trend line break and a retest with a cup and handle. Nice. We'll take a look at that. Alright. QQQ. I kind of already have it marked ahead of schedule. I'm not trying to be out here too long. Mosquitoes are freaking ridiculous. I got my tiki torch going there. This is my supply zone and my resistance. 487.85 to 488.50. My demand zone is 485.15 to 485.85. You can just drag those up by like 2 cents. Right there. And this is my demand zone. So downside underneath, so obviously initially hitting the demand zone, hitting the support where the put trigger's at, the first thing I'm going to do is look to see if buyers are present. As always, risk to reward, I'm going to enter calls or longs off this area here. The only way I short it for that put trigger is if it breaks underneath of it, buyers are not present. When it does the SR flip and it does the retest of 485.5, that's where I enter into the short, take it down to 484.50, and then down here to 483.65 to 483. This would be my kind of full target downside zone. Upside, got a key spot here, got a bigger spot here, that spot right there. So initially entering into the supply zone here, I'll look to go short and then take it back down for the rejection. The only way I will go long is if it does the break, retest, and then take it up here to 490 to 491. So 488.50 for upside, and 485 area for downside will be my call and put trigger. IWM, holding trend line here. So if you go over here, I can get rid of this. If you go over here and you see this trend line here marking the lower highs, and you see this trend line here marking in the higher lows, got a big rip to the upside, and now it's pulling back. Where it's pulling back at is around the 220 psych level right here. So it lines up with the trend line test of the higher lows that it's pulling in. It's also lining up with a retest just from the upper side of it of that previous trend line here. So it's retesting two trend lines that it can hold for support along with the 220 psych level right here. So I really like IWM for some longs here off 220. Take it up to 221, 221.50. And then it needs to break 222 to go to 222.50 and then 223. I like IWM because it likes to move in like the quarter like increments, 0.25 or 0.50, and then dollar. It really respects the dollar levels, 220, 221, 222, 223. So I really like calls on IWM here, right here, just in this area. I want it to hold. Where is it at? Here. So in this area, I want this to hold around these trend lines in this 220 and take it to the upside. If it loses 219.50, so now it's broken under 220 psych level, and if it continues to go underneath 219.50, I will look to take it to the downside. That's the only way I'll end up shorting IWM. Take it down to 218.50, down to 218, and 217.50 area here. You'll see how it kind of respects those spots when it gets close to the 50-cent and dollar increments. So 220, look to go long there, and if it breaks under 219.50, I'll short it. But retesting back up here near the 221, 221.50 area, that'll be my supply zone where I'll look to initially go short. And if it breaks above 222.50, then it goes to 223, and then 223.50, 224. So let's go to Apple. I'm checking the chat. I'll see if it pulls up. Taking forever to load. Alright, Apple. So I sent this out last week when Apple broke above this trend line but accepted back under. Apple, it's the same resistance, it's the same spot. Look at these top wicks here on Apple every single time. Where's my arrows? Right here, right? Top wick here into the zone. It wicked all the way up here to this equal freaking high. And right when it did that, what did it do? Close right there at the freaking zone. What did the next candle do? Close right there at the zone. And the next one. And this one. So, I like Apple shorts here. So if it breaks underneath 227, it's going to go down to 224. If Apple hits 224, watch for a potential long, but if it does break and accept underneath of it, there's a gap to fill down to 222.7. So there's a gap right here to fill to the downside. So there's a gap to fill right there. So underneath 227, I'm going to look to take it down to 225 and then 224. And then if I'm short by that point, probably be in runners, and then if it breaks underneath that, fill that gap down to 222.75. For Apple longs, it's 230 cycle level. That's what it has been, and it always will be until proven otherwise. Needs to get a daily break and hold above that 230 cycle level. When it breaks above here, it does a retest, then take it back up to these levels around 232, 233. So that's what I'm currently watching on Apple. Go to Amazon. Alright, so Amazon here on the daily is hitting a trend line in a second, it seems. So we got 1, we got 2, and it's about to hit 3. Where's the daily EMAs at? Perfect. So when Amazon hits the daily 21 EMA, I'm going to try longs, which right now is at 185.6. So go to Amazon on the daily, put on the 9 and 21 EMA, and then draw this trend line right here for these higher lows on the daily. That daily 21, it's going to line up pretty freaking close to where that trend line is going to be, and that's where I'm going to take some longs. Calls here, and then take it back up to 190 cycle level. If it breaks underneath 185, it's going to go down to 182 and 180. So a break and hold under 185, then I'll look to enter into shorts. It's going to be a trend line break. It's going to be a daily 21 break. Take it down to 182 and then 180. But if it just continues to go higher from here and doesn't retest the trend line or the daily 21 EMA, then 192.50, 190 honestly. If it can reclaim 190 cycle level, I think there's a good chance that it would then just continue higher to that previous one of 192.50. So daily 21 EMA and trend line is going to be big support, and if that loses, be my put trigger. If it reclaims 190, that'll be my call trigger. But I am going to try calls on the daily 21 EMA there with that trend line. Let me download that chart as well. I hear a bunch of coyotes. I really like that chart there on Amazon. After that, last but not least, is Microsoft. So I sent this out last week when Microsoft hit 441. It has not gone higher since then. So it was here for that weekly chart, hitting that area. So here on the daily, you'll see, and I quoted, if you go to my profile, you'll see I quoted last week's chart. It's the same thing. I have the word resistance up here around that 441. This top yellow zone is on the weekly chart. It's that candle right here that I sent out last Sunday, and it has gone down ever since. And now this next weekly candle is a red candle coming down and underneath 430 psych level. So I think 422 is going to be coming on Microsoft. So for me, if it loses like 426, 427, and the daily 21 EMA, I'm going to look to take that short, which is going to be about right here. So if it continues to go lower and it breaks underneath here when it does that retest, that's where I'm going to look to take it short, is right there, and then take it down to that 422. It needs to break above and reclaim 430 psych level first, but the big one's going to be like 433. I think that's 433 to 433. Let me see, 434, like 30 or 40 area. That's going to be a big spot, but let me go down to the 15. Yeah. So you see how I got a big bounce right over here. I would want it to break lower, pop back up, retest this area, and then take it short. For me to go long, this 430 psych level right here is this is going to be a big spot that it needs to reclaim above. So 430, 431 breaks above that $1 area and does a retest, and buyers are still present. They start to push it back up. Then I'll go long and take it back up to 434. So, but the daily and weekly head and shoulders chart is looking good. Neckline for this, I would say, is 400 psych level. I'd say it's around here is going to be neckline area, like right there. So if it starts to break underneath 420, I could see that right shoulder coming all the way down, and then it would come down to that 400 to 405 area. That's where I would expect to see a huge bounce on Microsoft if that happened. You can probably draw a trend line here as well. There's probably going to be some kind of support through here whenever that happens, which looks to be around 416, 415. About right here. So if that shoulder starts to form and it loses 426, 425, yeah, I'm going to short Microsoft down to 422, and then down to that 415, 416 area is probably going to line up with that trend line. So that is it for me. SQ, right? You said daily. Mosquitoes are so bad. Got bit on my pinky. Let me see. That is it for me. SQ, right? You said daily. I'm waiting for the chat to pull up. Mosquitoes are so bad. Yeah, SQ this week, daily trend line break with a retest of cup and handle. Let's see. I'm waiting for the chat to pull up. Yeah, SQ this week, daily. Didn't a squeeze on the weekly. Retest of cup and handle. Let's see. Curling to the upside. Just in a weekly squeeze, trying to curl up. Didn't a squeeze on the weekly. Watch that. Curling to the upside. Watch that. Yeah, it's at a really big spot right here. $70 seems to be a big spot from like 66 to 70. Where's that 70 spot? That'll be big. Go to the daily. You can almost make a case for an inverse head and shoulders too. It's a little weird, but I mean, you could say this is left shoulder. You could have this down here for the head. You can have that one down there as a right shoulder. So you got a potential like inverse-ish head and shoulders. But let's see. So if it pops up and hits 70, when it comes back down and probably hits 67 in that trend line, that can be a good long. Take it back up to 70, and then if that breaks, that's going to be a big spot. What's that, 74? Yeah. That'll be a big spot. So, yeah, decent looking chart here on SQ. Not bad. Let me screenshot this one. It's got a squeeze on the 4 hour. I swear it just said squeeze on the 4 hour. It does. And it goes away. But that weekly one's curling to the upside right here. MACD is also bullish. So very, very nice. Some big levels up here around 80. Yeah. Nice, nice. AMD. I said long the F out of AMD down here near 130, and it went to 170. So nice freaking score. Trend line, hit that one, hit that one. Oh, look at that. So that's interesting. Trying to get that lined up. There you go. Resistance. Flip to support along the F at AMD. It's hitting weekly resistance. That looks like a freaking short. I like that. Nice. Go to the daily. How the daily? Oh, that's an ugly ass close. Left a little bit of a gap downside too. That's a ugly daily candlestick setup. That don't look good. Not one bit. So I like that for a short. That leaves a little gap right here, and then take it downside. It's got a little bit of a gap right here, and then take it downside. Be interesting. Screenshot that. If it can break and hold above 170, I'd say then, I mean, the train continues upside, but that's a good short. I like that. Good call. Alright, last but not least, just for Keith, is XOM. Freaking love charting. XOM. So XOM on the weekly is just ping pong. It's in a squeeze right now, trying to curl upside. Looks like a bull flag as well on the weekly. Potential little bull flag here on the weekly. Daily closed really, really good off this big level down here near 111, 110. Got a really nice push back to the upside. Coming up to 116, 117. It's about like here. It's like 116.20. I think it's going to be a big spot. And if it breaks above that, 117, 118, 120 would come after that. That should be 117, yeah. So 116.2 goes to 117, 118, 120. If it gets really choppy right here. I mean, this is like the middle of its range. This is where it gets choppy. You'll see like over here. Last time I got up here and it rejected and held underneath of it. That's when it came back down to that 110. And right when it hit up here twice, it gapped up. Then it got a huge red candle, knifed it straight back down. Got a huge green candle to break straight back through. Like it gets, look at this huge red candle here. It gets, look at this. Look at that huge green candle, instant red candle all the way back down. So it gets really big daily moves when this spot right here on 116 is tested. So, I would say just 116, 115. Right where it's at. If it can break and hold above 116.2, and it's looking strong that day and just holding the EMAs and it's trending, and the dips are getting bought on it every time the EMAs are tested, it would just trend its way up to 117, 118, 120. If it breaks 115, then XOM respects the dollar downside moves. So underneath 115, same thing. If every time the EMAs are tested from the underside, they're just shorting the pops on it. Then underneath 115 down to 114, 113, and then 111, 110. But it's right in the middle of that big choppy range. So definitely going to be a hard one, but not a bad spot for selling some options, some credit spreads here. Potential iron condor. I mean, if you sold 120s and bought 122s, and then you sold 110s and bought 108s for the end of the week, put it in an iron condor, is not a bad idea right here. I'm actually gonna look into that. That looks pretty good. So, of course. Tesla, I'm not too interested in Tesla right now. Tesla's just, it's been on a ripper. I charted it right here a long time ago at 210. It got the inverse, I still got the same chart on here. I haven't fucking changed it. It's got the inverse head and shoulders, the wonky one that I talked about. 1, 2, 3, third trend line tap. What chart was it earlier that I charted? This is very similar. It breaks it to the upside. It's IWM. It's IWM that looks like this, right? Yeah. It's IWM on the hourly. It looks just like that. It looks just like Tesla right now. Look at this. Minus all the other bullshit, all the lines. Look, got the long trend line here, has the bottom trend line. It ripped it, and it just pulled straight back to it. And right here, it launched off of it. Now go to Tesla. Go to the daily. Look, it's the same shit. So, nice inverse head and shoulders. Trend line test, trend line retest, and then it launched off it. So, Tesla's just been trending, I mean, ever since. Holding the 9 EMA strong every single day, not even coming down to the 21. I mean, risk to reward 266, 265. What's this? High 265.60, 265.60. Yeah. And 271. When Tesla gets there, that's a short. Risk to reward if it breaks and holds above 270, 271. But I mean, it's just chugging along. As long as it's holding the daily 9 EMA, it's in a strong trend. It is extended from that daily 9. So 255. So mark 255-ish area here. So it's actually a pretty good sweet spot. So Tesla's at 260. When it goes up to 265, just on a larger time frame, I buy time. So if I bought at 265 and it goes to 270, I'd be fine with that $5 move on Tesla for the contracts I would have based on this daily chart, because I'd probably buy like maybe November 15th. Holding this daily 9, huge trend, but once it gets up to 265, 270, I'm going to look to short it at the equal high. If Tesla breaks underneath 255, then I would just be targeting previous day's low and the daily 9 EMA. So under 255, previous day low is 251.50. The next low after that is 249. And then after that, daily 9 EMA right now is around 248. So that's how I would target those levels downside. And then once it's hitting the daily 9, I would be out majority, because that's the trend that it's holding every single time, getting bought up. So I would expect buyers to step in there. But if it breaks that, then it can get ugly. So yeah, I like that chart as well. Let me screenshot that. I'll send a few of these out later. So appreciate you guys. I'm gonna go ahead and call it a night. SPY, QQQ, IWM, Apple, Amazon, Microsoft, Tesla, AMD, SQ. So you got 9 out of me. So I'm going to post some of these charts here soon. And for the Discord members, the premium members, I'll see you guys in the morning, ready to go live trading. I'll also be a speaker tomorrow on Wolf Financial Spaces for probably the first hour or two of the morning as well. So I'll be over there just speaking on stage and then live streaming and trading in the premium Discord.